I'm finally out of bed, guys. I'm sorry, it's been about a week or so since I've really been doing much. In and out of hospital a little bit, and also just treatments and bits, but also just recuperating. But anyway, so a couple of weeks ago, a good friend of mine, Lou, VK3LEW, said, I reckon you need a couple of these. And what they are is the what they call the Portascope back in the day. And don't be too worried about this at the moment, where this is sort of wandering all over the place. It just hasn't been used for a very long time, and as you can see, it's floating all over the place at the moment. This one's got a dry joint in it, but it will be an easy fix. But the brilliance on the tube here is unbelievable. Really, the intensity, fantastic. So basically, these were made by BWD Electronics, and there's the Portascope 301 and the 321. Now, there's a few differences between them, and interesting how they went from BNC connectors. They're definitely original BNC connectors over to PL259 connectors on here too. The 301 was about a 3.5 meg, I think, 3.5 or 4 meg. Hang on, I have paperwork. I have reference paperwork. 3.5 meg. Yep. Okay. So DC to 3.5 meg over here on this one, and 7.5 meg over here. And as you can see now, see how that display's gone. Now, see, expert technician. Watch this. Hang on. I need to get inside it. Okay. We don't like doing that, by the way, but it means get inside, check all the joints. As you can see how it's just, it wants to lose its trace. It could be just a loose connector, dry joint, could be a lot of things. But something that's this clean and, it's this beautiful, that's got this sort of brilliance, really is worth getting into. I mean, you can't spend forever on these things because, they do have their limits. But when I see a front panel and a case that's as beautiful as this is, and certainly, let me just turn my, sorry, I realise I've just got 40 metres going up. I'm in the American barn at the moment, and just keeps me company. But yeah, when you get one that's as clean as this, and as you know, we don't really specialise in collecting test equipment, but these kind of hit me. I don't know that we'll keep both. I think we'll keep the 321, and we'll probably just do this one up for somebody, and someone can have a 301. Although, if I had space, it is nice to show the comparison of, where they went during their manufacture, upgrades and phases, etc., from the 301 up to the 321. And I'm just scouring the paperwork at the moment to see if they... first year of sale for the 301, so this one here was 1963. There you go. And... No, sorry. Let's do this again. Here's the 301, 1963. Yeah, sorry, that was right. But what's coincidental is the 321, 1963. Now, I think first price in first year of sale mentioned in this magazine. So to be fair, 1963, they were definitely out. So, whether they came out in 1960, 61, 62, bit hard to tell because it's a little broad on the Radio Museum information there. But, these are just classics. They really are. Look, I understand we can't fill up the whole bloody place with old test equipment because we'll just be in big trouble. But, I sort of thought just to have a couple of nice pieces wouldn't be a bad idea, just to put with, if you can imagine this with a 1960s Swan, or, something that's in that sort of era. And especially being 7.5 meg, if we could get, an RF set up and actually get it to show a waveform and actually do what it should do, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? But, yeah, this one's surprising me, by the way. It's actually, as it's stabilising, and please don't get me wrong, I probably, normally would bring these up with a, hang on, just bring that round here. I think that's better. Yeah, it's getting there. I'd normally just sort of chuck it on and we'd bring it up, 60 volts, 90 volts on the variac, and then slowly. But I had a feeling that Lou had probably had these up recently, so it wasn't so much of an issue. But that's actually starting to stabilize now a lot better, and it will get better as the more time it spends on. This one actually, isn't it surprising? This would be the older of the two and the less featured of the two. And I don't have to hit it to make it work. So that one's actually really doing well. Both of them, though, what we do, Lou mentioned to me, he said, look, I know the authenticity is broken, but, he has a thing about putting brand new leads on them because they, previously had those old cloth leads that were on them. And look, I agree with Lou 100% that there is a limit to authenticity versus safety, on 240-volt cords. But we'll just pull the covers off and just, this one will be an easy one. It'll just be a socket or something that's dirty, or maybe a dry joint we've got to resolder. Judging by what it's doing here, yeah, I'd almost say it might even be the socket on the back of the crow tube. See how it's sort of, it's little issues that are happening here. Don't get me wrong, that can be a dozen things. Let's just bring that intensity down. Well, actually, that's an interesting thing to check too. See, I'm not getting a lot of intensity change there, a little bit, not much. So we might check that control as well. You don't know. You could have an intensity control that's giving you issues. Of course, that's can be the issue. But anyway, just thought I'd show you. Look, this is a little different. It's my first day back out of bed, and what do? I show you old crows from the 1960s, but it's a little interesting, isn't it? Just say yes, and I'll be happy. Certainly, we will probably fire this one up on, with a bit of old ham gear on 80 meters and see if we can get it to, register a couple of nice waveforms, etc. And don't be surprised that, we might get that to work quite okay. This one here, as you can see, this jitteriness here, and then, okay, so we just did lose it then for a sec. This can be anything from an intensity control to the horizontal control. Anything, it really can. It can be one of those that are just dirty, and the fact that it's jittering like that, people may say, check voltages, etc. I'd agree with that, but first of all, with 1960s gear, just go through and clean everything. Now, here we go. Now, I don't want to keep hitting it because people will accuse me of abusing and do I do the same with my wife and etc. etc. But what I can tell you is, just little, see, straight away, isn't it interesting? It's not actually coming back there, but, all right, we will pull that one to bits and have a look. But it's almost like it's up the top here somewhere, sometimes when I'm knocking it is coming good. I say that, and it's not coming good. Hang on, just give me a second so I don't show you my hammer. Amazing what you can get done if you get the right tool for the job. So, all fixed now. Oh, come off it, really? I just walked away for a second to take a shot of the sledgehammer. Oh, really? Hang on. It's a dry joint on this side here. Somewhere in there, because I'm only tapping that quite lightly just in that area. Look at that, eh? All right. So what have you learnt from this? Use big red-handled sledgehammers and things get fixed. No, but we will just pull that off, and I guarantee you it'll be a dirty contact or it'll be something really silly. All right, so back to this one over here again. How are we going here? Yeah, same thing. Clean connectors, and basically go through and anything that could possibly be dirty, whether it's the, I would say to somebody, every control, every connector, just, get your deoxit, get in there. Don't use a lot of it. People have been asking me lately, how much deoxit should I use? One chap was telling me he went through a can in about a week. I said to him, mate, unless you're running the largest service workshop in Australia, you're definitely probably overdoing it. And he said, oh, but I did 4 or 5 radios with that. And I went, yeah, definitely overdoing it. So, yeah, with your spraying of the stuff, Deoxit D5, it's great stuff, but you don't need to go crazy with it. Just like every control here needs a little like that. It's not a, it's just a. So if you can just do the Brenton versus, then you're going to save yourself $40 a can, in a month's time or a week's time. And this chap, how he went through it in a week, I'm just, although he said, look, it's not spraying anymore, but he said, it still feels like it's got some weight. And I said, yes, this has been happening a little bit. And I must admit, I don't know what the answer to that is at the moment. If anybody's had that happen with their deoxit and found a fix, I did have a can do that to me. To be fair, they replaced it. I gave them a ring and I said, what is it with a can that's 3/4 full that doesn't spray anymore? And they went, oh, you sure it's not blocked? I said, no, not blocked. And they went, yep, all right. So they didn't actually tell me what the problem was with the deoxit cans when they do that. Would have been good to know. Anyway, so this is the 301 and 321 BWD electronics. What I should mention, and I suppose, that's something that we're saying, these were made in Australia. Isn't that important, really, when you think about it? It's at least, we did make some test equipment, and most of the test equipment I sort of feature or use or anything like that is generally from Japan, Germany, or somewhere else, USA, quite a bit out of the USA. So, good to see some BWD gear, which, it was made down in Mulgrave in Melbourne. So that's something that I suppose I probably should have mentioned from the start. Just remember that you can look up all this sort of gear. Lou uses the Radio Museum website that's obviously very, very comprehensive. As I said before, we're not really specialists on test equipment or older test equipment, etc. So, hey, look at that. Did it again. Now, see my theory here. Hang on. Theory. If on this video, all of a sudden it goes over the side of the freezer, don't laugh, please. Hang on. I'm just going to... Come on. Come alive. It's supposed to be just a small dry joint. Oh, look, you know what? I'm tempted to pull the cover off. Okay, so live chassis, so don't go putting your fingers in there. Good to always just have a bit of a look with no power on. I'm not, but don't do as I do. Do as I say, etc., etc. And there is a lot of things here that, could be giving some issues. And I doubt that actually our problem's in this bottom section. I'm just going to take the top lid off and let's have a quick look. Okay, so... I won't say problem fixed yet, but the rear cap on this was sort of half off. When I say half off, it was probably out by 5 mil on an angle, and when I put it back on, this thing came back to life. That means absolutely nothing because sweet. Now notice this end of plastic, etc., rubber. Look at that. So there it is. Over there. There it is. I'm adjusting in there. I've got a little issue over here somewhere, I'd say. Maybe, maybe not. Hang on. Yeah. Let's not use that. I'm just going to actually change my choice of battering ram tools. I prefer something that has nothing conductive on it when I'm mucking around with these. But let's just have a little look in here. Everything's glowing like it should. So that's, that's kind of nice. And that's... let me just find something a little better than what I've got here. Okay, now we've sort of located it with my paintbrush handle. And it's not a matter of whether a paintbrush handle is a good thing to use or not. It's the fact that it's timber and, and I'm just trying to live a little bit longer. Now, as you can see, as I'm moving that board there, we've definitely got a bit of something going on here. And she's in there. I've already checked the tubes. They look like they're in there pretty well, but we probably will just pull them out. Just give them a bit of a clean. But look, this is an easy one. As you can see, you've kind of got the problem there pretty well sorted out as to where it is. So now you've just got to get in there and actually just clean up anything around it. Check for any dry joints on any of these resistors, etc. They look pretty good. I've got to say, I'm just having a bit of a move around here. And whilst, you will get a bit of fluctuation like we're getting right now, although, yeah, it could be a bit of a dodgy sort of joint going on there, actually, just right back in that, we'll see. But often that's where you take your unit and you start powering it down. Now, remember that you've got residual voltages inside these things too, so, very important just to make sure that you've shorted a few caps out and bits and pieces, otherwise you'll take a bit of a hit. But it's good to look inside one of these because, quite seriously, Australian manufacture for the 1960s, and... But yeah, look, most problems of these will not be, well, they'll either be catastrophic and they'll be just forget it and walk away, or they'll be like this where they're really simple. So, but You know what? I was not going to pull the cover off this, because I know that now I'll go and actually get my soldering iron out, and I'll get my spray, and we'll go looking for this little sort of intermittent here. The more I sort of do this, we'd put money on the fact, yeah, we're in there somewhere. On there, as I play with that vertical amp, something in there. It's this tube socket here. I just about would put money on that. So, as you can see, as I'm moving that around right now, I think we'll take that out and clean that up, clean the contacts on there, check the bottom of the socket. But all of a sudden, yes, we're definitely seeing quite a bit. Remember, just always, actually, I reckon we've got a contact problem on that valve socket. The more I'm sort of playing with that, and I'm not playing with much else, it's on that valve socket. So we'll clean up that valve socket, and we'll just give that a bit of a look. And I think, we'll be cooking with gas on this old 1960s girl. It's definitely... Just checking the other ones, but no, it's that front tube. See, the other ones aren't giving us any response with this front tube. It's giving us a bit more response as I get in there, especially as I try and push it down onto the board a bit more. That doesn't mean there's not something underneath there that's still giving you trouble. We'll sort of suss that out. But look, this is relatively clean. I've got to say, what I expected to see inside and what I'm seeing, oh no, this is clean. So, we'll nail this one, pretty easily. But anyway, all right. Well, look, without making this a 2-hour video on a 1960s oscilloscope, it'd be nice if I could just sort of knock it in the right way, just to finish off. Just to say, hey, look at that. It's going to be a pain now. It really is. Hang on, let's have a look. Okay, just firing this fella back up again, and a lot better. When I tap it around now. Still a little bit there, little bit, but we pulled that valve out and the front there, gave that a really good clean. And whilst I'm still getting, we'll go looking a little bit further, but nothing like we were getting with the thing collapsing, etc. Keeping in mind, as this warms up, it will start to find its spot, and it just because it's been off for about 5 minutes. I actually took all the valves out there, cleaned all the sockets, etc. And very easy to do, but once again, power down and make sure you discharge capacitors, etc. before you go doing yourself in, and maybe find something better than a paintbrush handle to knock things around with, or a sledgehammer. Okay, well, pretty happy with that. It's looking reasonably good. We'll put the covers back on, and I as much as I want to do more to it now, I haven't got the time right now, and I've learned that if I don't put the covers back on it, it ends up sitting on the ground with covers off it, and that's never good. So best to sort of put your stuff back together anyway. Just for the record, it's still going, the 301. So that one's actually been quite surprising. It's whilst the trace on this is obviously a lot brighter, and this here at the moment has really done quite well too. So and have a look how it's settled down now too. It's still a little bit of flicker there, which we'll sort out with cleaning up a few bits in it. But as you can see now, this one now very consistent. All right. So Sunday afternoon at Tangambalanga, playing around with something that I should not be playing around with today. I've got a million things to do. I've got to play catch-up footy because I'm so far behind on so much. But it just kind of was sitting on the ground here as I walked through the door, and I thought, well, let's have a look at these, as you do. 7 threes from VK3 Charlie Mike. This is some really great Australian engineering from the 1960s, and it's been a pleasure to have a little bit of a look at it and just see how it all works. All the best.